Hello, my friends. My name is Al, if you don't know me, and today I'm going to be guiding you through a 25-minute yoga practice for whenever you have had a really stressful day. I want this to be something where you can just kind of unwind and mellow out. I do have my bolster here. If you don't have one, you can just use a pillow or even a couple of folded up blankets or something like that. We won't completely rely on this, and I will give you options either way. So go ahead and grab whatever you have and roll out your mat, and we'll go ahead and get started. So we'll get started in a reclined fish pose today. So if you want to place your bolster down on your mat or your pillow, you can go ahead and do so. And if you don't have any props at all, you can just go to a completely regular reclined position, like a savasana shape. So you're going to take your low back right up to the bolster and then just start to release over it. Bolster, pillows, whatever you have. And let the feet extend out nice and long. Arms rest by your sides. So the main idea here is for your heart to be lifted higher than your hips and higher than your shoulders, so that when your shoulders release over to the sides, there is a little bit of heart opening going on here. And just start to breathe here with me. So often we carry around stress in our shoulders. So if you are recovering from stressful events, from just a generally stressful week, or you've had a lot on your plate, this can be really nice to release one of the areas of the body where we tend to hold on to so much stress. See if you can just melt into both of your shoulders and just let that whole space open up a little bit. Just take a couple more breaths here. Just really settling in and really becoming present with the breath and the body. And when you're ready, we'll kind of press ourselves out of this by first taking the soles of the feet down onto the mat and just letting both knees fall over onto one side. And just set your bolster or pillow a little bit out of the way for now. And we'll come up to a seated position with the legs crossed. Take the hands down onto the knees and just take a couple shoulder rolls. So drawing the shoulders up towards the ears and then let them glide back and down. And continuing this nice and slow. So again, kind of getting into that space in the shoulders, which I'm sure is feeling a lot of the effects of the stress that you're carrying around. Just letting it melt away, and this is kind of a more active shape to really get into the nooks and crannies of the shoulder joint here. You probably can't hear on my microphone, but my shoulders definitely make some interesting crackly noises when I do this. No matter how sore or how loose my shoulders are, they will always make a noise because there is just always knots and always tension going on in that area. So I personally can't really do this enough. It feels so good. But just know that any noises that you hear, there's a good chance that that's just normal and just from kind of built up stress and, tight tissues kind of working out their kinks. Take one more big one and then come to stillness. Once you arrive, just shake out the shoulders. Take the hands together at heart center and interlace the fingers around each other. Show your palms to the front of the room, and then extend both palms up towards the ceiling, lifting the gaze a little bit. And let's continue with that with the breath. So as you exhale, palms reach forward, maybe the chin tucks and spine rounds a little bit. Inhale to lift the palms, lift the gaze. Moving with the breath. Exhale to lower. Inhale to lift. Exhale to lower. Inhale to lift. Exhale to lower. This time with your inhale, release the fingers, swim them behind you, and interlace the fingers at the low back. If you can't reach your fingers together behind you, you can use a strap or a sock in between each hand to create a little extra space so that you can still find that connection between the hands. And once you arrive here, connecting either by interlacing the fingers or having something in between the hands to connect them, draw the shoulder blades together, lift the gaze, lift the heart. And just breathe here. And then soften a little bit into the shoulders, so relaxing them just a bit, and take both fists to the outside of your right hip. So I'll just shimmy over a little bit so you can kind of see what it looks like. It's almost as if my right hand is pulling the left hand over towards the right. So my left hand is hooking on the outside of my right hip. And if you can't quite reach that far, just go as far as you can with your fists here. And once you arrive there, let your right ear fall towards your right shoulder. You should feel a nice long stretch all along the left side of the neck. Another wonderful location where we tend to store our stress, right? The neck often gets very stiff when we're kind of bracing ourselves or holding on to stress about something. So just giving your neck a chance to release a little bit here. And remembering to breathe, maintaining that nice long deep breath. Head back to center. Release the hands back behind you. Open the heart, shoulder blades draw together. Just finding that heart opener for a couple breaths here. And then soften into the shoulders, release, and take the fists over towards the left side this time. So this time your left arm is pulling the right hand towards the left side of your hips. And either hooking to the outside of your hip or just pulling as far as you can. And once you get there, start to drop the left ear towards the left shoulder. And again, just finding some release here along the side of the neck. Allowing any tension and stress to melt away. And focusing on your breathing. And release the hands here. One more time, shoulder blades draw together, heart lifts, gaze lift. And with a big breath out, release the hands. Let them come in front of you, and we'll make our way to a tabletop position. So you have your shoulders over your wrists here and your hips over your knees. With your inhale, drop the belly, lift the head and heart for your cow pose. And exhale, round the spine, like back between the arms to the tops of the thighs for cat pose. And continue with this, nice and slowly on your own breath. Or just a few rounds of breath here, nice and slow. Maybe move the hips a little from side to side just to get into all of those crevices in the spine, the low back, the abdomen. One more big breath in here. And a long breath out. Return to your neutral spine. Now take your bolster or your pillow and take it right under your chest. And maybe shift it back a little bit in between the two legs and beneath the hips. And we're going to melt into a child's pose here. So feel free to adjust your bolster or pillow or whatever you have into whatever position makes sense for you to release into a supported child's pose. If you don't have anything to play around with, you can just come to a regular child's pose with your upper body and head all the way down to the mat. But you can kind of choose depending how big your props are, whether you want to use the bolster to support your forehead or your hips, whatever makes the most sense for you. I'm going to go with my forehead just because it's not quite long enough to go under my hips and my forehead at the same time, and I want to be able to rest my head. Now, if your head is down on the mat, it might feel really good here to rock the forehead a little bit from side to side, just to give that third eye area a little bit of a massage. If you've had a stressful day, you may have had a headache at some point today. Let's not forget the power of kind of self-massage here as part of our practice. And if you're on a bolster like me and it's not doing much for you to roll the head from side to side on a sort of more cushiony sort of material, you can maybe take your thumbs to the sides of your head and just give yourself a little massage with your own hands. They're all just options and offerings, so you'd rather not rub your head, and this is definitely not a required part, but we're just kind of exploring and figuring out what feels good for us and what helps us to release stress and tension in the body. Using our practice as a tool to kind of work through emotions and challenges that may have come up throughout your day. Just processing and unwinding from it all. Take a couple more breaths right here. So take any final massages or movements that are calling to you. And then start to walk your hands back up all the way to a seated position. Now we'll leave our bolster or pillow right where it is on the mat and rock over onto the right hip. So taking the edge of your bolster or pillow right up to the edge of your right hip and just taking both legs bent. So The sole of the right foot might come to the top of the left thigh, just both legs kind of making this V shape right here. And then we're going to turn towards the bolster or pillow, and you'll start to feel a nice twist along the spine and side body. From here, start to walk the hands forward and release your upper body over your pillow or bolster. You can take the right side of your head down onto the mat, or if you want to go even deeper into your twist, you can flip over onto the left ear. And just find your way to a version of this restorative twist that feels supportive and comfortable for you. And when you're ready, we'll start to walk ourselves all the way back up to our seat, and we'll take this on the other side. So you can leave your bolster right where it is and just swing your body around. I'm going to move mine just so I'm still facing you. So this time the left hip comes right up to the edge of bolster or pillow. And just making this double V shape with the two legs here. So your left foot is right on top of the right thigh. And then we'll turn towards the bolster or pillow and start to walk the hands forward until we can release all the way down. And again, you can take your left ear down to the mat or to the bolster, or the mat if you don't have either. Forehead down, or opposite ear down to deepen the twist. And just breathe here. Feeling supported, feeling grounded. Releasing any tension here in the low back and along the spine. A little bit in the hips too. Go ahead and start to walk yourself back up to your seat, and we're gonna come onto our backs, but just listen carefully. Take your bolster or pillow the long way across your mat, and we'll step both feet over the bolster. So we're taking our knees bent, soles of the feet down, bolster under the knees, and just start to release all the way down onto your back here. And once you arrive, extend the right leg up towards the sky. Bend into the right knee, place the right ankle on top of the left thigh, and just find a little hip stretch here. Maybe pressing into the outside of the hip a little bit. If you'd like to go deeper, you can lift the left knee and hug it in towards your chest with your hands. A couple options here, just to open the hip for a few breaths. And release that leg back down. Uncross your legs. And other side. Left leg extends straight up to the sky. Cross the left ankle on top of the right thigh and start to open the hips. Maybe press a little bit into the outside of that left leg. And then again, if you want to go deeper, you can hover the right foot off the mat and hug it in towards your chest. And breathing here. Go ahead and release back down if you were lifted. Uncross the legs. And press into the heels, lift your hips, and just slide the bolster right under your hips for a supported bridge pose. Then release the hips back down onto bolster or pillow. And breathe here for a moment. Just a little lift in the low back. And we'll take our final few breaths in a supported Shavasana pose. So lift the hips again, slide the bolster or pillow forward, and release the hips back down all the way onto the mat. Continue to slide the feet forward until the legs are mostly extended out long with just the bolster under the knees for support. And just allow yourself to breathe here for a few moments, taking some long, deep breaths. And something we can do as we take our final breaths here is try to take a longer exhale than your inhale. So maybe you inhale for a count of 4 and exhale for a count of 6. So let's try that together. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And go ahead and continue with that, counting if you'd like, but just trying to be very intentional with the exhale being a little longer than the inhale. This is something that can help to down-regulate the nervous system. So anytime we are trying to energize, we might take a longer inhale to kind of draw more energy into the body. But when we're feeling stressed or anxious and we're just trying to let go and kind of calm ourselves down, it can be really helpful to take a longer exhale to really focus on the act of releasing. Let us release more than we take in. To me, that's kind of symbolically a way to let go of excess energy. Just kind of how I see stress and anxiety, this excess energy that needs to be expelled. So let's take a couple more breaths right here, whether or not you are kind of doing that little breathing exercise. And whenever you're ready, hug the knees in towards the chest, rock over onto one side, and press yourself up to a seated position. I hope you are feeling better, feeling a little more relaxed. after committing this time to de-stressing and just being present with yourself here on the mat. As I started to explain a little bit towards the end of that, as we shifted towards our down-regulated breathing pattern, kind of trying to calm the mind, expel excess energy. I think so often when we have a lot going on, we have really stressful days, we're just taking in and absorbing so much information, and it becomes very, very overwhelming. So, taking some time to just be present with yourself and allow yourself to release whatever that means for you. So, we went through so many poses where I was saying release, let go, get rid of any tension that you have. And these are all just tools to kind of visualize and actualize the symbolic release of all this excess information and energy that we take in throughout the day, right? And for me, at least, that's what I consider to be the source of stress and the source of anxiety and the source of feeling overwhelmed. So I hope that you can relate to that, and I hope that you're able to kind of come back to this practice anytime you start to feel overwhelmed, have a really busy or stressful day, and just need something really calm to get yourself into a more relaxed headspace. If you enjoyed this, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more calming or energizing or whatever you're in the mood for yoga practices. I post new videos every week, and I have a whole array of different types of videos that are within the 5 to 20 minute range, depending on how much time you have to commit to your practice each day. I hope you're able to carry a little bit more calmness with you throughout the rest of your day, and I hope it is wonderful. Thank you so much, and I will see you again soon. Mwah.